area election is coming up June 14th. 106.3 WORD News time now is 11:04.
This is your 106.3 WORD Business News. Abraxas Business Services will expand to Greenville next month, opening a branch in the Next Innovation Center. The Atlanta-based firm specializes in business brokerage, mergers and acquisitions, and succession planning for small and middle market companies. Andy Tennyson, an assistant professor of inorganic chemistry at Clemson University, has received funding for medical implant research. Money from the National Science Foundation will cover 5 years of research into modifying artificial materials that comprise the common medical implant, with a goal of reducing patient rejection and chemical degradation. I'm McKinley Greenlaw, and that's your 106.3 WORD Business News. If you have a story, email it to news@1063word.com.
Now the upstate's most trusted forecast from the 106.3 WORD Weather Center. Good amount of sunshine today with temperatures getting up to a high of 79. Skies will be mainly clear tonight, the low down to 56. Tomorrow, warming up to 84 with mostly sunny skies, and even warmer and a bit more humid Wednesday, the high getting up to 88 to 90. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Dean DeVore from the 106.3 WORD Weather Center.
Currently sunny, 70 degrees at GSP. Next news at 11:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Lee Rogers with a Vince Coakley radio program on the Upstate's talk station, 106.3 WORD.
Vince Coakley.
Let's have a new first party, a Republican Party, raising a banner of bold colors, no pale pastels. A banner instantly recognizable as standing for certain values which will not be compromised.
A breath of fresh air.
I have a dream. My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream.
Truth and transformation.
You're black. You're here.
Of course I'm black.
But you're black. It's black.
This is the Vince Coakley radio program on 106.3 WORD, the Upstate's talk station.
All right, welcome in. Another hour of Vince Coakley program. Doug Kellett sitting in here. Obviously, the big story, you heard it just a moment ago, the verdict in Baltimore. They were awaiting the decision there, and comes back with the Baltimore police officer, Edward Nero, found not guilty on all 4 counts in the death of Freddie Gray. So I guess let the looting begin, right? The violence, there was tension. Police said they expected peaceful protests, but how long will it take before that turns to something else? You get a verdict you don't like, right? And then it brings up the issue. Here's a guy, one of the officers, I think one of 3, found not guilty of involvement here. What about the issue of, and this won't be discussed much on the programs, it'll be about how this was a wrong verdict by some on the left, no doubt, and how they view it, how African Americans are being treated unfairly with the legal system in this country here. He's found not guilty of all 4 counts. You can either disregard the verdict, or you can say that the people looked at and weighed the evidence and didn't find any reason to convict the guy. And if that's the case, doesn't this bring up the issue why a police officer would have been put through this to begin with? Maybe there'll be some guilty verdicts involving the others who may have been connected in some way with the Freddie Gray situation, but none here. And how long will it be before the administration comes out with some sort of statement here? What do you think? Now, I'll put it to you this way. I'll let you tell me. How long will it take, or will it take, any time for the administration, or what will they say? Will they say that, as they do on things they agree with, well, the jury has spoken, and the judicial system has spoken, and therefore that's it. We should not even discuss it. The verdict is in, and that should be it. Or will they say, well, I'm a little concerned about the verdict here and what led to the decision of those who weighed the evidence, right? Or maybe we should look in the background of either, I think it was a judge who made the decision on this, not a jury. So we should look in the background. Was this a Republican nominee? Is this a conservative just wanting to get people? Is this a pro-law enforcement judge that's involved in this case? I'm sure the Justice Department is weighing these weighty and important decisions as we speak, right? Because this would not be a decision that Barack Obama would be in favor of. I mean, we still have the Barack Obama Justice Department. We still have that opportunity to somehow intimidate. And so will they come back and say, I think the answer is probably clear to you, just like it is to me. No, they're not going to come back and say, yeah, the verdict, the jury or the judge has spoken, and therefore we should leave it at that. And that's the way the legal system works, and we applaud it. And it was a fair hearing and this and that. They won't do that at all. So what's going to be the ramifications of this? If there's violent activity in the streets, will it be considered justified by many in the media and also on the left here about, well, you don't like a verdict of some kind, and therefore you get to loot, burn, and do whatever it is you want to, and create mayhem and violence in the country? Or think about this for a minute too. What about the police, the family of the police officer as well as the officer, because his career is ruined either way. I remember it was the case of well, it escapes me at the moment, but the other case that got so much attention out in Missouri, where the guy, the officer shot and killed as he was more or less portrayed, the young man, almost a child who had just wasn't bothering anybody. Didn't, that video you saw him robbing the store, that didn't mean anything, and strong-arming the clerk, no, that didn't really happen. He was just a kid who got candy, ice cream, walking down the street, not bothering anybody. This officer decided to, shoot him and everything. And, of course, he was found not guilty of anything. And we saw what happened in Ferguson, Missouri after that, right? And that officer's complete career was totally ruined. How's this guy going to get a job in his chosen profession after what's happened? So we have what many have described as a war on law enforcement in this country. I think it goes up to the top of the heap here that the administration created this environment in which people feel it's okay if you had a verdict you don't like or some issue with the legal system or the law enforcement system you don't like, that you then commit your own sort of violence, and therefore that makes it all right. Or is it simply an excuse to commit violence, which is more likely to be the choice, I think, of that. But I'll be interested to see what the administration's reaction is, because I think they could be troubled by this verdict that's come down this morning. Needs to be reviewed as to whether they can, in some way, well, you can't appeal a not guilty verdict, so they don't have that opportunity. But they might want to review this for the family of Freddie Gray, so that maybe some civil liability issues could be brought against this police officer. I can hear it now, and there will be a lot of discussion in one way or the other about how in the world did this come to be the verdict. But Officer Edward Nero has been found not guilty of all counts involving the Freddie Gray issue here. The story, it's breaking news now on all the networks, but CNN.com says Judge Barry Williams announced his decision after a bench trial. So he was the one that made the decision. So we got to investigate Barry Williams, the judge, now, right? We got to find out exactly why this guy, he must be a Republican appointee. Probably is, because sooner or later I'll probably read this in one of the stories, because if he is one, or he may be elected in Baltimore, but if he's appointed and some Republican did it, we will find out. Now, if a Democrat appointed him, that won't be in the story. Let's see. CNN says when a Baltimore judge decided the fate of one of 6 officers charged in the Freddie Gray case, a city with unrest, seethed in unrest over the death of the 25-year-old prisoner. The line of questioning by Judge Barry Williams during the trial last week, this is actually before the not guilty verdict, could signal the final outcome. He strongly challenged prosecutors' claim that the takedown and subsequent arrest of Gray without probable cause amounted to criminal assault. So we already knew this man was leaning in the direction of finding him not guilty. What will be the administration reaction, you think? Will they do what they ought to do and stay out of the issue in Baltimore and not get involved? No. Will they say the legal system and the process is operated and they respect the legal system? No. I doubt they'll say that. That a judge on a bench trial has spoken and therefore his verdict is the law of the land and we should accept it? No, they probably won't say that either. What will they say? And Al Sharpton's already on speed dial, right? From the Justice Department. Isn't he sort of the great advisor to legal matters in the Justice Department? I think so. So I would imagine they've already called up Al and see how Al can somehow behind the scenes get some protests going in Baltimore for television purposes tonight. Because after all, the networks are getting tired of Trump. So we got to come up with something else. And tonight, good television is the looting and burning of things, right? We all sit there and watch all of that. So that has to be what they're working on right now behind the scenes to get the ratings up. Because after all, they've thrown everything against the wall against Trump. And so far, people just don't seem to care about it. And it's going to be sort of a a pause in the action between now and the conventions about politics. So we got to get some good looting going on. I'm sure people will say, no, that's not true. But from the media and administration standpoint, we'll see what happens. If you got some thoughts, give me a call. It is 11:15 Monday morning, Vince Coakley Show. I'm Doug Kellett. We'll be right back.
We don't mind if you follow us around.
Follow WORD at twitter.com/1063WORD.
This is the Vince Coakley Radio Program
on 1063 WORD.
Now the upstate's most trusted forecast from the 1063 WORD Weather Center. Good amount of sunshine today with temperatures getting up to a high of 79. Skies will be mainly clear tonight, the low down to 56. Tomorrow, warming up to 84 with mostly sunny skies, and even warmer and a bit more humid Wednesday, the high getting up to 88 to 90. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Dean DeVore from the 1063 WORD Weather Center.
Afternoons with Bobby Mack.
You know, it's funny. I thought the point of education was to challenge and debate ideas. Apparently not in Portland, Oregon. The climate change true believers there are doing the exact opposite of educating. See you on the next Bobby Mack Show.
The Bobby Mack Show with Bob McClain.
Bob McClain.
Weekdays 3 to 7, only on 1063.
1063 WORD.
The Upstate's talk station.
Are you at or near retirement age and looking to significantly increase and safeguard your retirement nest egg? Great news. Hi, I'm Raymond Marks, president of Raymond Marks Financial, and we have a program that could deliver principal protection with absolutely no risk of loss. At the same time, potentially enhance your secured income value with a premium bonus of 10, 15, or even up to 20%. So call now to find out which of these programs you may qualify for at 800-715-4755. Now, potentially, you can receive a bonus on premium payments to your secured income value and protect yourself from market losses. This could have a big impact on your retirement. Currently, there are plans that get a 10, 15, or up to 20% bonus on your secured income value. Get all the details and see which one you might qualify for. Call us today at 800-715-4755. That's 800-715-4755. Or visit RaymondMarx.com.
Here's your estate planning to-do list. Get a will or trust. Do powers of attorney for financial matters and health care. Have a living will. Protect your children's property. Name beneficiaries for your accounts. Have sufficient life insurance. How many of these have you accomplished? I'm attorney Chuck Cruz, and I can help you check off your to-do list and get peace of mind. Call 675-9581 for a free consultation or visit upstatewills.com. Do it today.
Are your gutters clogged? Maximum Water Flow Gutters. Are your gutters causing fascia to rot? Maximum Water Flow Gutters. Only at All Exteriors. Call 320-8100 or visit exteriors.com.
Is the economy booming? Why is the stock market up? Hey, it's an election year. Anything goes. No matter who wins, stocks look overbought. Move into silver. Use your retirement account. Do it right. Why pay setup and storage fees? Special offer. Free setup and storage fees. Learn how. Call Goldworth. Request your guide free. 800-257-GOLD. 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 Visit goldworth.com.
Hello, Alan Thicke here. Stop me if you've heard this one. Actually, don't. It's important. Last year, when people fell behind in their tax payments, they called Optima Tax Relief and took advantage of the Fresh Start Initiative. Well, this year, Optima has raised the bar with their Protection Plus Clean Slate Program. Pay the IRS the minimum amount, not a penny more. Optima, they're number one. A-rated at the Better Business Bureau. Optima Tax Relief is the one you need.
Call 800-567-2261. 800-567-2261.
Optima Tax Relief.
Looking for the lineup that has your back? Head to Nissan Safety Today event happening now and get a safe ride with some sound savings. While you're there, check out their intelligent safety shield technologies for yourself. Shop your local Nissan store or choose Nissan.com today.
This hour on WORD is powered and charged by Battery Specialists. Got a thought or comment for Vince?
Text 71307.
This is the Vince Coakley radio program on 106.3.
106.3 WORD.
11:19, Monday edition of the program. Big story. Baltimore officer cleared in the Freddie Gray arrest and death by a judge in Baltimore. And so what will be the reaction from the administration on this? And some of those who were pushing and hoping for a guilty verdict in the case. Of course, there are other officers that are also charged with this. But again, officer is cleared of all accounts, and it makes you wonder, why was he brought up to begin with? Edward Nero, not guilty, all charges. Here's a guy whose career has been put in jeopardy because of what's happened here. And you have to wonder, too, how much of this prosecution that went on here was political. I think a lot of people think a lot of it was, because after all, the environment that was created right after this, this happened, kind of led to grand jury investigation and charges being filed by the prosecutor of Baltimore. Right? I mean, it was an interesting sort of development, but when. And how often now is it happening that, and maybe it's always been this way, maybe you can say there's always been this element, but how serious and damaging is it with the idea that politics would play a role in any sort of legal prosecution? Just to sort of go with the critics or try to get the people, somehow appease them, not to commit some kind of mayhem or criminal behavior out on the streets, that you would charge somebody, ruin their life. After all, they're just a police officer anyway. What does it matter, right? And do that where, you got police officers dime a dozen. That's probably the view they have. And therefore, it doesn't really matter. And this guy, so what? He, if he's not guilty, he'll be found not guilty. I can hear that one, too, where, if the guy didn't do anything, they'll find him not guilty. And what's the problem? How would you like to be on trial for possible criminal behavior or the death of an individual here, and have your life in the balance and the stress that's involved with that in your family, also knowing your career is ruined anyway because this is your chosen profession and you've got the government against you rather than the criminals that you're trying to deal with on a day-to-day basis? How would you like that stress in your life? Does anybody really want to be put in a position that a jury, or in this case, one man, a judge, makes a decision about where you're going to spend the rest of your life, perhaps? I would say that would be perhaps the most stressful environment any one person could probably be in, is to be up on some kind of charge in which, especially if it's something you didn't do, and that's all political, people want your head, even though you didn't really do anything wrong necessarily, but the political environment is such, you got politicians pushing to get you charged. They do as much as get you charged, and then your life is in balance, and you could go to prison either for an indeterminate amount of time or the rest of your life for something that really you didn't really think you acted improperly to begin with. That would be a stressful environment. But there's some who think, well, that's okay, because after all, if he didn't do anything and there was no problem, you go ahead and charge him anyway. Put him through that, and if he didn't do anything wrong, the jury will find him, or in this case, the judge will find him not guilty, and that'll be the end of it, and everything's fine. But again, the man went through a life-changing event that perhaps he should never have had to deal with. You almost have to feel that way if he's cleared on all charges, and but again, what will be the sort of fallout from this? I would expect it will be determined on when the administration actually makes a comment. And they're almost certain to do so because they don't stand by and allow localities or the legal system here or there to make determinations about anything without weighing in on whether they think they did the right thing. So it's almost a sure thing it's going to happen. But we'll see what does happen with this. But you look at the overall environment that's been created by this administration, I can't help but wonder what damage for long term that's been done when you go, well, just the other day, the president went before a predominantly African-American university talking about how bad the legal system is for African-Americans and how you're likely to run into these problems. And you're going to be in a situation where you're not going to get a fair shake. And you live with this. I mean, if the president of the United States tells you this at your college graduation, and you're a person of color, and in this case, he happens to be a person of color, that's got to stay with you, right? Anytime you have a dealing with law enforcement, you think you're not going to get a fair shake? After all, the president, he's the guy that knows. And he's saying it. He's putting his stamp of approval on this. I think that did create some of this environment. Then you've got where you have an out-of-control mob, and then you have the law enforcement hierarchy in Baltimore who had their hands tied because the politicians there, who happen to be liberal Democrat politicians, didn't want to go after the criminals who were creating the behavior on the streets. And so the police had to back off and not actually operate. And what happened, a lot of the Baltimore police individuals here are saying, we're not going into some of these neighborhoods. If you're not going to back us, then we're not going to put our lives in jeopardy where I may have to fire my gun or I may have to do something in which the criminal actually gets harmed by this, because you're going to, in a political environment that is so racially charged, you're going to put me up for another trial like this guy had to go through. And yeah, I'm not guilty, neither was he, but it doesn't really matter because you're going to do it anyway, because your view is, well, if I didn't do anything wrong, I'll be acquitted, but it doesn't matter that my life's in jeopardy for months on end. No telling how much lawyer fees are rung up. I would imagine the FOP probably pays for it, but there's also going to be some amount that you're going to have to be dealing with. And then, more than likely, because you've gone through this ordeal, whether you're guilty or not, and you're not guilty, you have your career as a police officer or law enforcement has been jeopardized, probably ruined, maybe it's certainly harmed anyway. If you do have a job continuing on, it's always going to be on your record. You know, this guy, got to watch him. Remember, he was tried for charges where charges were brought against him, and he had to go on trial for this. Yeah, he might still be guilty, but he got off. You know, we all know that people get off on these things. So that would always be a mark against him in his record, even if he did continue or does continue in the area of law enforcement. This is part of the problem. I'm not here to always take the position of law enforcement necessarily. I think every case has to be looked at, and there are other individuals here that may have had more of a participation of wrongful death of Freddie Gray. I don't know. But I will say that the environment that's created, certainly by the federal government, is not necessary. These are local matters, should be handled by local law enforcement. Now, if there is and this is the part of the problem where you have to have a caveat and say, if there is something nefarious going on within a legal system or a judicial system in a certain environment, that maybe the feds do have some sort of obligation on a matter of individual rights to look into it. I mean, you always have to have that. But that can be so abused, and that's what's happened, I think, in the cases of this administration, in the number of law enforcement environment or shootings or whatever that's happened. The president has made it part of his political agenda to go out here and tell African Americans at various universities here about how law enforcement actually is likely to do something to harm them. And I'm not saying that it hasn't happened, but because certainly it has. There's always incidents in which overuse of police force has occurred, but it's not a consistent sort of habitual issue around the country here. But the administration, sort of by getting involved in these things, making statements, and in some cases giving a pass to looters or people who have another agenda, has caused a problem. Remember how quickly the looting and burning and all this began, the mayhem, in Ferguson, Missouri, after the president spoke that night, came out and said something about the verdict of the grand jury when they were not going to bring charges against that officer in Ferguson here because they did not believe the evidence warranted this, and the administration said it was wrong. The president said it was a wrong decision. Couldn't understand how they could come to that conclusion, he said. And then, in my opinion, gave a pass to the people who he knew were going to go out there and do some kind of violence against the individual's property and such. And I remember getting phone calls about this from people who said, "What's the deal? I mean, insurance will pay for these buildings anyway." You realize that and there was one store owner, I think his whole family ran I think it was a convenience store or something, and it was completely destroyed, looted, burned, and everything. And they didn't have the money to rebuild. They didn't have the wherewithal to make that happen. That insurance only took care of part of this. And there's this attitude that it's just personal property, so it doesn't really matter. That's astounding to me. But that is a view that people have, and therefore, well, if they just ruin your property, no big deal. Insurance is out there to pay for it. Who pays all that? Why are we paying higher premiums for insurance then, huh? We'll be right back. Another half hour of the program coming up. Phone number is 800-347-1063. Text us 71307. Email is iDougRadio@AOL.com. You can follow me on Twitter. My Twitter feed is easy to remember. It's at iDougRadio. And if you want to check out some of the latest stories updated constantly, go to my website, iDougRadio.com. We'll be right back. More of the Vince Coakley Show coming up on 106.3 WORD.
Listen to 106.3 WORD on your phone. Download the free TuneIn app at 106.3WORD.com and hear the Vince Coakley radio program anytime, anywhere.
People who can afford a LASIK procedure sure are lucky. Imagine being able to throw away your contacts and glasses. Imagine waking up tomorrow with 20/20 vision. Too bad everyone can't afford LASIK. Well, guess what? There's a company that agrees with you. TLC Laser Eye Centers is now offering great prices on high-quality LASIK to make it affordable for everyone. That means you get the latest FDA-approved all-laser LASIK technology for less than what others charge. And if you call right now, we'll schedule a free appointment so you can discover if LASIK is right for you. Results may vary. Call 1-800-300-5211. Even better, if you're one of the first 100 callers, ask about an extra $400 off your all-laser LASIK procedure. That's $200 off per eye. We've already performed over 2 million procedures. Let us help you. Discover how you can get the quality LASIK experience you deserve for less than what others charge. For your free appointment, call 1-800-300-5211. 1-800-300-5211.
Your trusted source for news, traffic, and weather. This is 106.3 WORD. Depend on us.
The state is making online help available for victims of domestic violence. Good morning. I'm Lee Rogers in the 106.3 WORD 24/7 News Center. Governor Nikki Haley launches a new website aimed at providing information and resources to domestic violence survivors and to professional groups in the workplace. We get more now from Bill Dubinsky.
The website features a 24-hour crisis hotline, a statewide directory of resources, searchable by location, safety checklists, and tips for victims and loved ones. Citizens are also encouraged by the website to learn the phrase share, care, be there as a 3-step process for how loved ones should approach a friend or family member suspected to be a victim of domestic violence. The website is safeplacesc.sc.gov. Bill Dubinsky, South Carolina Radio Network.
A judge in Baltimore earlier this morning found a police officer not guilty on all charges against him in connection with the death of Freddie Gray while he was in police custody. Officer Edward Nero faced second-degree assault, misconduct in office, and reckless endangerment charges. Prosecutors said the 30-year-old unlawfully arrested Gray without probable cause and was negligent when he didn't buckle the prisoner into a seatbelt. Nero opted for a bench trial rather than a jury trial. There's been no love lost between Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders and Democratic National Committee Chairwoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz. She is also a congresswoman from South Florida and has been vocal in her support for party frontrunner Hillary Clinton, but she's now facing a primary challenger in her re-election bid, and her opponent is getting some major help from Sanders. Fox News' Evan Brown reports.
Florida Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, also the Democratic chair and lead spokeswoman, is again running to keep her seat. But an in-party challenger is getting big help from Bernie Sanders.
Clearly, I favor her opponent. His views are much closer to mine.
Sanders on CNN this weekend. The challenger is Tim Canova, a law professor. Sanders is now fundraising for him, as establishment Democrats like Vice President Joe Biden have been for Wasserman Schultz. Sanders and Wasserman Schultz have feuded often, with the former accusing the latter of hindering his campaign. In Miami, Evan Brown, Fox News.
The search continues in the Mediterranean as air and sea vessels from Egypt, France, and the U.S. continue to comb the seafloor, hoping to find the wreckage of Egypt Air Flight 804, which crashed last week, killing all 66 passengers and crew on board. Fox's Greg Palcott has the latest on the search efforts from Paris.
The data received from the plane just before the crash, confirmed over the weekend by French officials as accurate, showed smoke, maybe fire, spreading from the cockpit to the front bathroom to the electronics bay underneath in just about 4 minutes. What experts today are saying that it seems too fast for a fire triggered by a normal technical flaw, but also too slow for a big terror bomb. That is why the analysts now are studying maybe an extraordinary mechanical electrical problem or a small terror explosive like the one we remember from the ill-fated shoe bomber in 2001 or the ill-fated underwear bomber in 2009, maybe detonated in that front bathroom, or maybe another device planted on board the plane at one of the airports, including here in Paris.
Larger pieces of debris and more human remains have been found by U.S. Navy vessels and has been reported to Egyptian officials. That's a look at news. The Upstate's most trusted forecast from the 106.3 WORD Weather Center is next.
74% of internet users find local businesses by searching online. If you don't show up on the first page of results, you're losing customers. Save time and money by letting experts manage your search engine marketing. Smart Reach Digital offers online marketing solutions to help you reach more people and get more customers.
Request a free digital marketing report valued at $500 right now and make sure you aren't losing customers to your competitors. Go to myfreereport.biz.
I'm Harvey Massey. At Massey Services, we know you don't want pests in your home. That's why we created Pest Prevention. Our preventive approach focuses on the outside of your home and includes caulking and sealing areas that pests use to get inside. You see, our program keeps pests out so you won't have to control them later. And that's better for you, your family, and our environment. That's Massey Services. Expect more and get it.
So you've been wanting a palm tree in your landscape, but you don't know what kind or where to find one. Hi, this is Steve with Blythewood Palms on Highway 14 in Greer. I sell and install palm trees here in the upstate. You can enjoy the Palmetto palm, our state tree, in your yard planted by our professional staff. Put them around the pool, next to the deck, or even in the front yard. Come by today, pick yours out, and we do the rest. Blythewood Palms on Highway 14 in Greer. Call 303-7967. That's 303-7967.
I'm John B. White, conservative Republican for State Senate District 5. As an NRA member, hunter, and CWP holder, I will not only protect our Second Amendment rights, but will expand them. Saturday, May the 28th, my campaign will sponsor a free CWP class with a licensed instructor. Visit johnwhitesc.com to register. Space is limited. I hope to see you there.
Paid for by Friends of John White.
At Bojangles, we've got flavor in our perfect with seasoned chicken and all over our seasoned fries because we believe that life is too short to be bland.
Head to Bojangles for a chicken supremes or homestyle tenders combo. Bojangles, it's bow time.
Protect your loved ones with LiveWatch Security. LiveWatch helps you connect and respond up to 10 times faster in an emergency. Instant communication to know what's happening now. LiveWatch has no long-term contracts. Save up to 50% off home security. Call 855-LiveWatch or visit livewatch.com.
Now the Upstate's most trusted forecast from the 106.3 WORD Weather Center. Good amount of sunshine today with temperatures getting up to a high of 79. Skies will be mainly clear tonight, the low down to 56. Tomorrow, warming up to 84 with mostly sunny skies and even warmer and a bit more humid Wednesday, the high getting up to 88 to 90. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Dean DeVore from the 106.3 WORD Weather Center.
Currently sunny, 71 degrees at GSP. Next news, top of the hour at 12 noon. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Lee Rogers with a Vince Coakley radio program on the Upstate's talk station 106.3 WORD.
Get to know Vince.
Hit the link at 1063WORD.com.
You're listening to the Vince Coakley radio program.
Live and local on 1063 WORD.
The Upstate's talk station.
All right, welcome back. Doug Kellett here. And the big story of the day, Baltimore decision by a judge in one of the police officers charged in the death of Freddie Gray has been found not guilty of all counts. I was asking just sort of a rhetorical question, but some of you may have an answer. What will the administration say about this? Is this a verdict where another police officer they tried to railroad got found not guilty? And if so, why was he even brought up on charges to begin with? Let's go to Will, who's called in to talk. Will, thank you for calling in, and you're on the show this morning.
Thanks, Doug, for taking my call.
You bet.
Everyone knows what the president or anyone in this administration is going to say. It's going to, as a black man, I grew up or as a black child, I was born and raised in Georgia on probably what I think maybe one of the last black, farms owned by a black man that I knew anywhere around. And it's the president's going to come out and let the black people the black community believe that it's a victimhood status, that it is the justice system against the black people, when really it's really all these problems boil down to it's the black people against the black people. I mean, I've got many friends. Once I moved up to South Carolina, I saw an opportunity in construction, and then eventually brought me into real estate. I was sheltered from, I guess, what you call the black culture, which seems to be this, you saw it, the rap culture, just everybody's got to be gangster and everybody's got to be, living up to these, what they think are role models in the rap community. And it's very sad. I've fired many, young black kids because they, I try to talk to them about, bettering their future and not playing this victim card. And it's just, sometimes it's very depressing to know that, I know that there's many black men out there and black families that try to, fight this in the black community, but sometimes it's very.
Yeah, it is depressing. I totally agree. Well, why do you think it is, though? Why would the president of the United States, whatever his political sort of background is, why does he want to divide Americans on this kind of issue? Like you said, I mean, go ahead.
Eric Holder said it. I think it was Eric Holder said it. I guess at the beginning of his administration, or it could have been someone else, maybe. Or that guy in Chicago, never let a crisis go to waste. Never let a good crisis go to waste. And when you see the black community basically tearing itself apart, why would you, when you can basically, I think it all comes down to votes. I really, truly do. It comes down to those people that are in power that really have no interest in saying it like it is. And,
that's a shame, man.
Yeah. You never want to tell your voter base, hey, it is your fault, it is your problem, you need to fix it. I mean, instead it's
yeah, but Will, and I agree with everything you're saying, but it seems to me that they've gone beyond that. It's not just, I don't want to tell people that, look, you need to clean up your act, or that a lot of what the problems you have actually have been created by you. Yeah, I could get that, but we've gone beyond that, where we're saying, okay, it's not only we're not withholding our tongue on that one, but we're saying the problems are created by somebody else. And we're saying it's law enforcement, for example, that, the reason that so many people are incarcerated has to do with law enforcement. Might be that they've actually committed crimes.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I've seen it too. I mean, I've been pulled over by, a cop that simply sees a black man in a nice truck. I've experienced that. But I never painted as this is an institutional thing. This is just one dumb or one ignorant cop that thinks something like that. I mean, I've never once
Yeah, but if he pulled you over though, you didn't escalate the encounter, right? Yeah, I mean, Will, when he pulled you over, you didn't escalate the situation, right?
Oh, God, this is a guy with a gun.
Right. That's what I always tell people. Look, get a lawyer later. I mean, if you've been pulled over at any time, sometimes the officers are real friendly and cordial and respectful. And sometimes, there's been occasion where you're like, okay, what's the problem here? But at the same time, you don't want to escalate the situation to where all of a sudden somebody gets shot.
Absolutely not. I mean, there's channels that we can go through when we do get pulled up. And I did. I went to this officer's supervisor. I went and filed a complaint. I mean, there's ways to do that. I mean, what they do at that point is theirs. But I mean, we're talking about, it's always the negatives that highlight the bunch, and that's what always paints the bunch. But from my own experience, I've never really experienced it how you see them talking about it. I mean, I have experienced, but not like that. So maybe I'm not the best person.
Well, I mean, has Obama experienced it? I mean, that's the thing, Will. Has Obama been in this hip hop culture type environment, gangster environment you're talking about? I don't think so. He actually, his grandparents who raised him for the most part, he lived in a privileged environment. He went to a school in Hawaii in which the Dole Plantation people send their kids. I mean, he didn't come from that environment. So why is he so readily accept that that's the issue going on here?
Well, I think it goes for Barack Obama. I think it goes to what his end goal is, and maybe his end goal is just complete. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe
I just think it's really sad to have a president of the United States, whether you agree with him or not. I mean, I think it's sad that you would have somebody who wants to divide the country in so many ways. I mean, nothing more, I think, worse than dividing the country among racial issues, I think, or law enforcement versus the public. That's not good, because you have to have law enforcement whether we really like that or not. I mean, at some point, the hall monitors have to be there. And, Will, thank you. Good stuff from you. We appreciate your input. Got some more time. You want to join in, talk with us here, give us a call, 800-347-1063. We got talking about this because Baltimore, a decision made by a judge, he should be investigated. I'm sure some will say. Not guilty on all counts. One of the officers involved in the Freddie Gray situation. We'll be right back.
Listen to the Vince Coakley radio program whenever you like. Click podcast on the homepage at 1063WORD.com.
Now the Upstate's most trusted forecast from the 106.3 WORD Weather Center. Good amount of sunshine today with temperatures getting up to a high of 79. Skies will be mainly clear tonight, the low down to 56. Tomorrow, warming up to 84 with mostly sunny skies, and even warmer and a bit more humid Wednesday, the high getting up to 88 to 90. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Dean DeVore from the 106.3 WORD Weather Center.
The weekend news.
I'm on board with Donald Trump.
That's good. Happened here.
Donald Trump, stupid and wrong. Number one, I'm not stupid, okay? I can tell you that.
Every day.
We're going to win California.
To TSA, they try to shorten the line. Plane that has disappeared.
Blown out of the sky.
They have found debris.
As events happen.
Protect the American people from the Zika virus.
We'll happen to be there.
It's about groping and fondling and touching against a woman's will.
Hey, Rick, I'll let other people decide what they want to talk about.
106.3 WORD, the Upstate's talk station.
So I have a question for you. Do you have a relationship with your broker that isn't so great? You keep getting these monthly financial statements about your retirement money, and you're not even sure what to make of them. You're not served very well, and you've been wanting to make a change for a while. Let me encourage you, now's the time. Have that talk with the folks at the Prosperity Group. They can show you safe money strategies to take you out of the crazy Wall Street casino and give you a much safer, reasonable rate of return. Learn how you can create a pension-like income so neither of you will outlive your retirement nest egg. If your spouse passes away, you won't lose any benefits, and you'll be able to maintain a continuity of income, helping you to remain financially stress-free in retirement. Isn't that what you're looking for in the first place? They'll teach you how to leverage your IRAs and show you tax reduction strategies, how to maximize your Social Security income. With your input, Greg Ellie and the Prosperity Group will help you create a plan, not just throw you into a one-size-fits-all product. Make that call today to the Prosperity Group for a free consultation. Learn about safe money strategies with a reasonable rate of return. The phone number is 989-0176. Prosperity. Based right here in the Upstate, or visit their website, mymoneyissafe.com, mymoneyissafe.com.
From the Fox Business Network, a modernized flip phone is reportedly coming from Motorola. PC Magazine says Motorola is getting ready to unveil its new version of the Razr flip phone with a big reveal next month. Motorola joins Kyocera and Qualcomm, who have brought back flip phones. The board of Tribune Publishing has rejected the updated offer from Gannett, parent company of USA Today. Tribune includes the Los Angeles Times and Chicago Tribune, among other papers. Germany's Bayer stock has dropped more than 3% in European trading after release of its cash $62 billion offer to buy Monsanto. The response to Tesla's Model 3 has been so strong, USA Today says General Motors, Daimler, Nissan, BMW, Hyundai, and Volkswagen are all working on competitors. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Ginny Cosola.
It's the Ready to Ride sales event and time to gear up for your ultimate adventure. Enjoy summertime fun on a Can-Am ATV, side-by-side, Can-Am Spyder, or Sea-Doo watercraft. Hurry in by May 31st and save up to $2,500 on select 2015 models. Plus, get great financing. Get ready to ride because the fun starts now.
Visit Hunter Power Sports in Asheville today or online at hunterpowersports.com.
Subject to credit approval. Restrictions may apply. See dealer for details. For safety and training info, contact the ATV Safety Institute.
Protect your loved ones with LiveWatch Security. LiveWatch helps you connect and respond up to 10 times faster in an emergency. Instant communication to know what's happening now. LiveWatch has no long-term contracts. Save up to 50% off home security. Call 855-LiveWatch or visit livewatch.com.
This hour on WORD is powered and charged by Battery Specialists. Got a comment?
Text 71307.
It's the Vince Coakley radio program
on 106.3 WORD.
The Upstate's talk station.
All right, we're back. Rush Limbaugh coming up top of the hour. Bobby Mack show at 3 o'clock today. And the jury, it wasn't a jury, it was a judge. And the verdict is in Baltimore of one of the police officers involved in the Freddie Gray situation, in which Freddie Gray was arrested by police, and in their custody he died. And of course the investigation led to all the protests in Baltimore some time back. I'm already getting messages on Facebook. Doug, get ready, the looting will begin soon. Let's go to Frank, see what's on his mind on this discussion today. Frank, thank you for joining us on 106.3 WORD.
Thank you for having me.
You bet.
Hey, listen, so I have a comment just to put it into perspective. You know, we have laws and on the books here that when people are guilty by association, it's because they're in the proximity of people committing crimes. Now, with that being said, we can put in perspective that this officer could just be guilty because he's associating himself with other officers. See, even though, you know, our jails are convoluted with people that are nonviolent offenders, we have to be leaders. We have to recognize that maybe those people shouldn't be there. So people actually have a right to be upset. And we shouldn't feel bad about a police officer that gets a slap on the wrist and his life that may or may not be affected later on afterwards. It's very important that we put these things into perspective that, you know, there are innocent criminals or people considered criminals that are innocent in jails right now, guilty by association, even though they didn't commit a crime.
Well, I don't know that that's I'm not sure how accurate that is, but I do understand that from time to time there's some DNA issues that come up and people are released for the crimes they commit, but generally they have committed other crimes as well. There may be some who are nonviolent offenders. There are a lot of people there on the 3 strikes you're out, the drug issue, which I, by the way, was not in favor of at the time. I like to leave the discretion up to the judicial system to look at each case individually to make the decision rather than put everybody in the same category. But remember, that was a Clinton administration initiative back then. But as far as the idea that but here's the thing. I'm sure there's always, hang on a minute, there's always mistakes, but the idea that's perpetuated that the majority of the people who happen to be in the prison system don't belong there is simply not true. They would not be there had they not committed crimes.
You can look at the numbers internationally and see that the United States is askew. We are definitely a lot more.
What happens is that a segment of the population, Frank, committed a vast amount of crimes, and we ought to be talking about that rather than worrying about the actual numbers of the people in prison and what color they are.
I'm not talking about color. I'm talking about crime. And what I'm talking about also is that the police officers out there go in with this mindset. So if a police officer who is innocent associates themselves with a law enforcement agency that does perpetrate crimes against citizens, then it does become a tit for tat. And we need to look at it like that and become leaders and try to change.
Well, tell me how that works, because, okay, let's say just take Chicago, for example, because that's notoriously been a problem, right, in the past, whether law enforcement or even some in the judicial system, which happens to be Obama's sort of home category. if officers are officers within that environment, how is it okay? What options do you have? Huh?
Well, I mean, Obama does have his faults, and Obama, has responsibility to a certain degree. But right now, he's trying to lead our country. Not saying he's doing the best job, but
well, I certainly would hope you wouldn't come to that conclusion. But I think the biggest damage he's done, it may not be the economy, it may not be foreign policy, Frank. It may be the fact that he's divided people, especially among the Arab race.
Well, that's George Soros and all the Democratic campaigns to divide our country.
So you don't think Obama? You don't think when Obama gives a speech like he did the other day to a predominantly African American university, talking about how bad deal that they've got and how the judicial and legal system is going to be on their back their entire lives? That's not Obama doing that. That's George Soros.
Obama answers to other people. He answers to globalist, crony capitalists in our government.
But he doesn't have his own. None of those words that come out of Obama's mouth are his own. Correct?
No, they are not his own. Absolutely.
Okay, all right.
So
Obama's a puppet of George Soros. I might even agree with that to a certain degree, but I think these are his views. I believe he totally does believe that the judicial system is rigged against African Americans. Otherwise, I don't see any reason why he would give a commencement speech. I doubt he gets that okayed by George Soros.
Right, but we need law enforcement. I mean, there's common sense that we need people to protect the innocent. So, I mean, there's good people in law enforcement. There's bad people. Luckily, we grew up in a region here in Greenville, South Carolina, where our police officers are great. I mean, we don't have a lot of crime in Greenville, and we want to keep it this way. And we want to keep people like George Soros and their tactics out of here. And we have people in our local law enforcement that are protecting us from those people. So I'm blessed to be here. But if we really want to change this world, we need to look at it for what it is and try to work together on this.
All right. Good stuff, Frank. Thank you. We appreciate it. Good to hear from you. We're going to be right toward the end of the program. Not have a chance really to get more phone calls in, but you're welcome to weigh in on Facebook or our text line too at 71307. A lot of you do that. Bobby Mack, I'm sure, will pick up on some of the discussion today too, because this is a big story today out of Baltimore and what may happen, from the fact that a judge has ruled not guilty on 4 counts. Yeah, I think my conversation with Frank too, I just want to point out, sure, Obama's influenced by a lot of people, but I think when you get down to some of his core beliefs, this idea that came up from some of the incidents here, for example, if I had a son, he'd look like Trayvon. What happened in Ferguson to me was shameful, the way he operated. The fact that Al Sharpton and the Justice Department were doing all types of sort of behind the scenes, getting people ready for protests and this kind of thing. And Obama seems to be taking a side on this. I think you got to have to look at it that these are some of his core beliefs. We're out of time. I will be sitting in for Vince again tomorrow starting at 10 o'clock. Look forward to it. Thanks to Lonzo doing the producing duties. You can email me, iDougRadio@AOL.com. We'll see you tomorrow.
The Tara Show.